Did you know that men are more commonly misdiagnosed, um, especially men with borderline personality disorder, are more commonly misdiagnosed than anyone else? Um, Usually, we are given the diagnosis of having bipolar. This was my experience. In my 20s, I had recently broken up with a girlfriend, and because of the way I reacted to the breakup, I went and started seeing a therapist, and I was misdiagnosed with bipolar. I knew this wasn't right when I started researching it. Because my moods don't shift week to week or month to month, my moods actually shift minute by minute, sometimes hour by hour, for with no explanation whatsoever. Too, I can just be really pissed off for 1 minute, want to hit something, throw something. Next minute, I'm fine. When I am around other people, I mask a lot. Masking is something in BPD too. It's not just a neurodivergence thing. Because we don't want people to think we're crazy. So even if we go through these experiences with our moods changing from minute to minute, we realize it, we tend to mask. This was me. Sometimes, when I'm at a fast food restaurant like McDonald's or something, and Dairy Queen, they get my order wrong, which they do all the time. It gets very aggravating. Every once in a while, it's fine. I can understand that. But there have been times that I am guilty of and I am ashamed of, that every time I've gone to a specific restaurant, they've gotten my order wrong, they've forgotten to include something. This is particularly also mainly when I go through the drive-thru and I discover the missing item or whatever, and I have to go in, and I'll kind of throw the bags on the counter, and I'm obviously very, very pissed. It's something I'm working on, but a lot of times I don't realize I'm doing it. All I know in that moment is I'm pissed off and I need to release that anger. And this is something common among people with, particularly men with borderline personality disorder, because we are not supposed to show emotion. As a species, we are told from a very young age that men do not show emotion. Men do not cry. Men do not get excited. Men are allowed one emotion only, and that's anger. But then when we show that anger, it's frowned upon. We're called bullies, stuff like that. And it's not our intention to be bullies. Because I am very anti-bully. I was bullied a lot as a kid. I think there's a huge difference between bullying and a borderline split. When you get to that point, it can feel like you're outside of your body watching it happen. And this is why a lot of times BPD is misdiagnosed in men, because we're taught from a young age that we're not supposed to experience emotion. Let me tell you a story real quick about a time when this was painfully obvious for me. My grandparents, who had not lived here since 1996, they moved to Florida, and we went from living on the same farm together. They helped raise my brother and myself, to not seeing them at all. They would usually end up going on vacation on my birthday, which was very heartbreaking for me because I was very close with my grandparents. But anyway, they ended up having to move back during one of Florida's hurricanes, which the entire state was evacuated, made mandatory. And so they moved in with my brother, and then they and my brother had a falling out, and they ended up moving into their own place. I helped them move. I did everything I could for them, took them to the grocery store. I was basically their on-call nurse every single day, 24 hours a day. I would be the one to take my grandpa to the hospital, to the doctors. I was out there beck and call. I would help my grandpa sort out his medicines, stuff like that. And what time are we coming up on? 6 months. Okay. And I enjoy, even though it was hard on me to always be on call like that, I enjoyed them being around. I wanted them around. I missed them a lot while they were in Florida. And I wanted my kids to know who my grandparents are. And then I found out from my aunt that they had planned on moving back to Florida. They were already getting the plane tickets ready and all this, and hadn't told me about it. And when I went and tried talking to them about that, they bluntly told me that, you know, there's nothing here for them. You know, I'm in Illinois. There's nothing here for them. They have no family, you know. And I took that as, because of my BPD, which I didn't realize I had BPD at the time, I took that as me not meaning anything to them. And I felt like I was being rejected. I felt like I was being abandoned, and I blew up uncharacteristically, because usually I try to control my blow-ups like that and keep them private, because of masking. But I blew up, and I had never blown up like that in front of a family member, especially my grandparents. And I haven't talked to them since, because I took that very personally. They actually never ended up leaving Illinois. I think they ended up moving into assisted living, but because of the way it all went down, I felt like they wanted to abandon me again. And so I blew up, and I haven't talked to them since. This is one of the reasons why I am 100% sure that I have BPD. So if you've experienced anything like that, if you're a guy and experienced problems with abandonment, or if you've been misdiagnosed as having bipolar and you're male, it's very likely you may have borderline personality disorder. Another big one is anxiety. I was diagnosed with anxiety since childhood, early adulthood. It's another common misdiagnosis for people with BPD.